I saw an email that you put out Monday night, or your campaign did, in a fundraising email. Your presidential campaign celebrated that the freeze on all new regulations, guidance, and announcements is a way to protect unelected bureaucrats from further undermining our health freedom. Then you ask your donors to help pay for your campaign debt. Did your campaign and you put out that?
I don't think my campaign exists anymore.
All right, well, listen, I got to tell you this. Somebody's out there soliciting money for it. Maybe you ought to find out who is. But if you are in this position, will you pledge that you will not fire federal employees who work on food safety, work on trying to preventing things like salmonella?
Senator, there are 91,000 employees.
So that I take that as that's a simple yes, and I'm going to take that as a no.
Run that agency
I take that as a no. Will you actually? We talked about protecting Americans from cyber criminals, something we need to do a lot more on. Will you commit not to fire anyone in the health arena who currently works on protecting Americans from cyber attacks in their healthcare files?
I will commit to not firing anybody who's doing their job.
Based on your opinion, based upon your opinion, or your political agenda, or Mr. Trump's political agenda?
Based upon my opinion.
My simple question to you is, how are you going to handle Title X on that? I saw how President Biden handled that in the punitive measures that came on my state for those that are in rural health care. How are you going to handle Title X?
I'm going to support President Trump's policies on Title X. I agree with President Trump that every abortion is a tragedy. I agree with him that we cannot be a moral nation if we have 1.2 million abortions a year. I agree with him that the states should control abortion.
Americans are going to need to hear a clear and trustworthy recantation of what you have said on vaccinations, including a promise from you never to say vaccines aren't medically safe when they in fact are, and making indisputably clear that you support mandatory vaccinations against diseases where that will keep people safe. You're in that hole pretty deep. We've just had a measles case in Rhode Island, the first since 2013. And frankly, you frighten people.
I think it's immoral to have a policy where patients are not allowed to report adverse events and where doctors are discouraged from doing that. President Trump has asked me to study the safety of mifepristone. He has not yet taken a stand on how to regulate it. Whatever he does, I will implement those policies, and I will work with this committee, make those policies make sense.
But you also said we need to trust the women to make that choice because I don't trust government to make any choices. You said that too, right?
Yes.
It is remarkable that you have such a long record of fighting for women's reproductive freedom, and really great that my Republican colleagues are so open to voting for a pro-choice HHS secretary. So, Mr. Kennedy, I'm confused. You have clearly stated in the past that bodily autonomy is one of your core values. The question is, do you stand for that value or not? When was it that you decided to sell out the values you've had your whole life in order to be given power by President Trump?
Senator, I agree with President Trump that every abortion is a tragedy, that we can't be a moral authority in this country.
Right, but that isn't what you said back in New Hampshire in 2023. My question is exactly when did you decide to sell out your life's work and values to get this position?
Senator, I agree with President Trump that every abortion is a tragedy.